Hey guys, in this video, I will talk to the infamous Tendermint Timmy, and we will cover everything there is about his latest project, Interchain Info. Timmy, I'm so excited to have you here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. Like I was telling you before the show, I just want to shout it out publicly. Like more people need to do this kind of stuff. So I love that you're doing just your own independent stuff, like interviewing smaller projects and people. So happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Before we dive into Interchain Info, first of all, congratulations on the launch of Interchain Info. So from the perspective of an outsider, everything looked good, and I think the community received it well. How did you experience the launch?
It went really well. I think people received it very well. We got a lot of good feedback. Now we're just trying to, beyond our sort of own internal roadmap of a million little dev things to tick off, we're kind of focusing on trying to get the community engaged in helping us figure out the future. So like just today we opened up some forums on the Spark Discord that were private for beta testers before, for anyone to come and use. We're going to be posting like questions there as we go through internal development discussions. There's a lot of things we've already stumbled across where we're like, we love the community's feedback on this. So we're just trying to get the message out really that we're looking for people to like participate in building this thing into the best possible version of itself.
You mentioned we. Who is we? Who is building Interchain Info? Can you talk a little bit about the team behind this and also obviously about you?
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of people in the Cosmos already know me. I'm just like a very long time general crypto fan. I've been involved in like some respect since Bitcoin was a couple dollars, but I had no idea the value back then. I was just like mining on a shitty little laptop for fun. Not even my laptop, my friends. But slowly kind of became more and more infatuated with it, and then really settled on Cosmos when I realized like there is not going to be a single chain. One chain's not going to win, and Cosmos is the place that has sort of seen that vision and prepared for it from the beginning. So I guess like in that respect, I've always been so in love with crypto that I've wanted to build something or do something impactful, but I'm just not the type of person that could see myself ever doing anything that there's already like a bunch of stuff out there for, like yet another DEX or an NFT collection or kind of the standard stuff, which are all great and needed, but like, yeah, never had anything that was unique and big. And at some point in the past, like 2 years, I saw this massive need for more like interchain stuff. The Cosmos brags about being a bunch of chains that work together, that live in harmony, but in reality it's like super fragmented. So Spark kind of tackles that core thing the same as Interchain Info. Spark is like my first project that we're still getting it spun up. I'd still consider it kind of in beta. It has a long way to go, but it is functional. It's been launched for a long time, and it acts as a sort of launch pad and donation platform specifically for chain agnostic and multi-chain efforts. Things like exactly like what White Whale does, the team you're a part of. So if White Whale was like still in its genesis stages, it was just an idea you guys had and you didn't know where to go to start with funding, you might find it hard to find funding from certain grants and community pools on your own because you're not making their chain your hub. So it's kind of a hard sell and a hard argument. So Spark looks to like fill that gap eventually through basically helping projects that truly want to be chain agnostic get support, connection, funding, all that sort of stuff here in the Cosmos. And so as part of that, we also want Spark to sort of be like a platform company team that takes on its own other sub ventures and like other things we'll work on and sort of steward. And so the first big one of those things is Interchain Info. So quickly on like the team front, Spark was built by myself and my real life best friend, who on Twitter here is Cosm Watch. And
Mhm.
so he is just like he loves coding and development stuff in general, but isn't as Web3 focused until I, chirped in his ear for years on end. And then we had the idea for Spark and he was like, let's do it. And so we definitely had some other developers help us out build that, but he and I were the kind of core team for a while there, and that's it. At some point during one of our spaces though, we were talking about the seed of an idea for Interchain Info just way back. And someone from the Steady Crypto team, which not many people on Twitter know, so they might also know him from the account Airdrops 1, which is much more like large and popular, But they ran a small validator operation called Steady Crypto. And the sort of lead of that, a guy named Ed, heard what I was saying in the spaces, and just totally saw the vision for Interchain Info, reached out, was like, hey, Timmy, we want to support you. We want to like see this thing come to light. Outside of crypto, he runs a Web2 development company with like a couple hundred employees. So basically, it was like, we can use my team, my guys on payroll, to get this thing going. Obviously, for the dashboard, which is a part of Interchain Info that's actually plugged into Web3, has wallet connections, dApps, we're going to need outside help for that. But the core of the product of Interchain Info, which I haven't even touched on, is just like information, just like a really in-depth wiki and aggregator of resources. So that's all pretty Web2 focused. He saw the ability to help me bring that to light. And after working together for a little while, I was like, this is fantastic. Like, let's just go in on this full force 50-50. And so like, he's my partner in Interchain Info now, I'd say. And I absolutely could not be here without him. And so as part of that, we've kind of started merging brandings and ventures. So like the Steady Crypto validators are now Spark validators. Airdrops One is another thing like Interchain Info that Spark maintains. And yeah, I'm just really excited for the future. Like, it was a blessing to have him hear that tidbit of a space and see the vision.
You mentioned a couple of interesting things. I like that you talked about raising as an interchain application, interchain protocol, because you're right, it is a hard sell to all these ecosystems which try to onboard dedicated applications as their own. So as Whitewell, what we have been doing lately is we just run validators. That's an easier sell. So instead of give us free money, delegate to us. But you're right. So Whitewell, it's an established project. We have a large team of, I think, 12 people, and less established projects with less funding, less connections, they likely won't be able to do this. They don't have the track record. So you're addressing a really critical thing with Spark IBC here. I really like that. Just because I know it personally, I am in these conversations lately a lot.
Yeah.
So I can relate to that.
And honestly, we do want to provide more support than just pure funding. So for example, like community donating to an effort is great. Also, I should note, like at times we are willing to work with projects to be more like a launch pad. So maybe it isn't a donation. It is like you'll get an airdrop of the Genesis fly or something, but that would be just on a per project basis. But some other things outside of just raw donations is like, we want to just help people with all the underlying stuff. So give them ideas and help them do things like set up validators, like what you guys are doing. Help walk them through what we're trying to do for Interchain Info right now, which is a type of sort of governance proposal that goes on many chains, but are all related by the same rules, the same metrics, and you're sort of splitting your ask between the applicable chains. Connecting them with grant programs, connecting them with developers we're friends with. We want to kind of become an all-around resource for projects that want to do like truly multi-chain things.
I like that vision. And I think the Cosmos it's truly lacking a good launch pad. We don't, at least to my knowledge, don't have a decent launch pad. Whereas every other major, you could call it competitor, like Solana or obviously ETH, AVEX, they do have launch pads. They know the drill.
And we've had like launch pads in the Cosmos, but they're all chain specific and usually kind of small and not with too much focus. Like very few people know this, but one of the few YouTube videos I've done in the regard of how you're doing it now, just like as Timmy on my personal channel, was interviewing one of the guys from DAO about DAO Up. DAO Up was like a DAO launchpad type thing where you fund a project. If it succeeds, you get some of their DAO token, blah, blah, blah. And I think there was one on Terra. There's probably one on Kronos. I have no idea, but I'm sure it's not very polished or like refined in who actually launches there. So yeah, like there may have been attempts at it, but it's really hard in the Cosmos because I don't feel like any one chain outside of like nothing really right now kind of has the presence to justify a chain exclusive launchpad, I feel like.
Yeah, agreed. But the fact that the chains are sovereign creates some kind of tribalism, which on the one hand is very good because it's sovereign blockchains, they have independent communities, independent blocks, but it comes with a price. and that is less cooperation in that sense. So having a large company, for example, like Avalanche Labs behind the primary blockchain, streamlining everything does move things quicker than this competitive interchain Cosmos we have right now. But nevertheless, I think the Cosmos has the right model, and we just need the first team like you, Timmy, with Spark to step up and solve this. So that's pretty cool. Moving to another thing, you talked about the vision for Interchain Info. What is the vision?
Yeah,
What's the
so
goal?
the vision, in essence, is to make Cosmos feel more unified and easy to navigate. So for veteran users like you and I and many of the people who might watch this, that just means not having to open up 5 to 10 different tabs when you want to go check your various LP pools or whatever, or just keeping up to date with what might be coming out across the Cosmos in various sectors, having a centralized, easy place to do that. And then for new people, it means not being as intimidated and confused about what the hell is going on with Cosmos. And above all, feeling like you have a canonical, sort of central, reliable place where you can go to get your basic questions answered and for somewhere to start. Like, our vision in a sentence is that Interchain Info is the link that you send to your friends when you first get them into Cosmos. Like, it's the one-stop shop where it can at least get you started on learning about or discovering anything that might be out there in the interchain.
How does Interchain Info work together with Alexandria, this Juno project that tries to build a decentralized Wikipedia?
I think what they're doing is super cool. From what I understand, it's kind of different in that they're going like broad with it. So I think you'll have articles on there that might not be Web3 oriented. It's also completely open, meaning, and actually I shouldn't say this as a definite, not sure exactly how they work, but I assume someone could just go in there and swap out your project's links for their own phishing links, right? And if that doesn't get caught, that's just, it's their own wallet submitting that TX to the chain. I think it'll be really cool, and it's something we might look into like implementing as part of our backend for like our actual content hosting or something like that in the future, potentially. But right now we think like our model is actually fairly different, where so anyone will be able to submit new info to the site or edit and update existing info. It doesn't just get pushed through automatically. It goes into a queue that we will be manually reviewing. And so the extent of that manual review is just sort of basic stuff. Like, are you just completely deleting someone else's page that they took time to do? Are you putting in a malicious link? Are you putting in obvious spam? Those sort of things are what we're watching out for, but we're not taking the role of like a curator or anything like that. If it's an honest project, good info, like that's totally getting through. We're not being, we're not keeping it centralized in that respect so we can be the steward of this information, rather just because this is one of those areas where I don't think true openness and decentralization is actually the best way to get the job done. There's kind of too many variables. And again, what we're going for is this feel of like a polished blue chip canonical like organization that you can trust, not just a completely open free Wikipedia, which is super cool but different.
I understand. I was just thinking about that. This would be a prime example for decentralizing a Web2 application, for example, by hosting the front end on Akash, by using something like Alexandria, or maybe just some general storage file system like SIA in the back end, and then having one or maybe multiple sub DAOs curating and policing the content. So I think that's very interesting. And that leads me to my next question. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, that would be something really cool to shoot for. We're totally open to that kind of stuff down the road. Obviously, it's just sort of infeasible to launch right off the bat with all that set. Like, in order to have those kind of oversight curation sub DAOs be effective, I think we have to first prove that we're a platform worth putting that effort into, right? We have to like put our best foot forward and wow people so that if we do want to take that decentralized step later, we have a really passionate community that is like down to continue the vision that we've started.
Totally. And I think this also highlights the fact that launching a decentralized application with respect to front end, back end, community DAOs should be as easy as doing it in Web 2. So We still have a long way to go on that front, but the goal is it should be at least as easy as it is with launching a website right now. At least that's my opinion on how we get more decentralized applications.
Yeah, totally.
So down the road, what's in for Interchain Info? What's your roadmap?
So we have like a lot of stuff on the roadmap, and we actually do have like a roadmap posted on our Twitter where you can look at that. We also did a Spaces the other day that was recording where we went through each of those bullet points, and we'll definitely do another Spaces just like covering that in the near future here. But the two like really big ones, and there is a lot, so I'm kind of trimming down here, is a full like UI and design overhaul for the site. So much of the functionality will stay the same. There will be some UX additions. So like when you search for something and you're on that search page, you'll be able to then refine that search by category, things like that. But kind of an overall facelift as well, because I designed the current site. I'm definitely an amateur designer. The first website I ever designed was Spark. And so between me having learned a ton now and having some more professional help, we have a cool facelift coming, and that's gonna, impressions are everything. Like functionality is what should matter, right? But like you need to make people happy to be on that site and navigate it and impressed at first glance. And I don't think we're quite there yet, but definitely still happy with where it's at. The other really big thing would be our full launch coming out of beta. And so the main aspect of that will be the inclusion of the third part of our site, the dashboard. So right now, as we mentioned earlier, we're raising funds for Interchain Info on sparkibc.zone on our own like Launchpad platform. So you can go and contribute there. We accept Axel USDC on Juno, but there should also be a link right on that page to use Rango Exchange to get whatever coin you have on any chain anywhere in not just Cosmos, but like in crypto, into Axel USDC really easily. But then we're also looking to push some governance proposals, as we mentioned, to fund it further, because this dashboard, we need to hire on some Web3 talent. We already have a couple really awesome developers potentially lined up, people who've already been helping us a bit just because they believe in what we're doing. But we need to kind of outsource, I should say, to get the dashboard done. And the dashboard will really tie everything together. So right now, the site is sort of filling the information and community side of things. We have the resource hub, which aggregates content from people like yourself, Cosmos Joe, Tank, Cedo, people who write Medium articles, all that stuff. And then the index, which is like the wiki of the Cosmos. And that final piece of the puzzle is the tools of the Cosmos, interacting with all the stuff you just learned about. So that's what we want to do on the dashboard. And it'll be somewhere where you can custom make your own dashboard with the modules, we call them modules, but for the dApps and tools that you like and that you use. So whether it's like Stargaze and Hubble tools, or Rango and WinDAO, Osmosis, whatever it might be. You can kind of have that all set up in one place so it can be your Cosmos command center. So that's what a majority of the funding we're raising right now will go to. And that will be the big like shiny feature of the full release leaving beta. So those are the two things I'm most excited for.
So did I catch this correct, that once the dashboard in its full glory is out, everybody can build his own custom dashboard based on what he likes, what data he wants, and just
yeah,
that's
so
how
one
you
of your
get
modules.
Yeah.
One of your modules could be the Cosmos calendar that Grits has made, where you can keep track of all the events and spaces going on in the Cosmos and filter down by the ones you care about. The module right next to that could be a Commonwealth module for the chains you most care about, right? So you no longer have to keep going to different tabs for all this. Below that, you'd have Rango Exchange as your like one-stop move money around. Maybe next to that, White Whale, if you like to always be able to like jump on ARB opportunities or just use your platform a lot. Yeah, and so our MVP dashboard with the full launch will probably only launch with a couple modules, but it's because we'll be putting the focus onto creating packages and like code templates and such that other teams can use to come in and quickly make a module out of their Web3 product.
As our interview is slowly coming to an end, can you give us some alpha regarding, for example, maybe a token that could act as a governance token for this application, or just in general, what's the timeline on these features, especially the dashboard?
Yeah, so the timeline on the dashboard, I have to admit, is very variable until we know how much funding we've secured, because that's just like, that'll make the world of difference. So if you want the dashboard sooner than later, please chime in on our like governance prop discussions. Right now we're on the Cosmos Hub governance forums and on Twitter. Soon we'll be putting posts on each of the various chains forums that we're actually requesting from. Support us on Spark IBC Zone with a donation, and the dashboard will come quicker. But as for, I guess, sort of an alpha and token thing, I guess I'd remind everyone that we already do have a token. It's just non-transferable. So we plan to implement Spark into a number of things we build down the road. We already have quite a few ideas. You earn Spark by donating through the Spark IBC platform. So for every Axel USDC donated, 1 Spark is minted into your wallet. And we do have some UX stuff coming down the road. So if you maintain multiple wallets, you'll be able to donate from any of them, and it'll go towards the same like entry on our leaderboard and functionality on where that token is utilized. So there will be utility coming for Spark. Although I will note, we're never going to like payment gate any major feature. There's never going to be like a core part of the dashboard or something that you have to be a Spark holder to get. It'll all be like quality of life bonuses, maybe aesthetic things, social things, the ability to interact and have more like say in various parts of what we build, that sort of thing. And then my alpha note would be that with Interchain Info, we're sitting on already a massive repository of information, and we haven't even opened it up to public submission. So when we do that next week, by the end of like, let's say next month, if all the projects and teams and their user bases are submitting stuff to our site, we'll have just so much info about the Cosmos in our system, right? ChatGPT is amazing. And so if we can train a model on our data set and info, we can basically create like a Cosmos butler where you or I as parents who know nothing could come in and probably figure out the Cosmos because they have a human-like person they can ask dumb questions to, the kind of questions that don't work on Google or on our site, you know, the stuff that like Ask Jeeves was meant for back in the day. You could be like, what is this wallet thing, right? And it's going to know how to answer that and walk you through things. So that's something that's later on down our roadmap, but probably a little bit of like alpha I would drop.
That's a brilliant idea. I both like the dashboard idea and having a trained language model to answer your questions. Yeah, I have to think about both ideas more, but I really like them just from hearing them. Last question from my end, Timmy. One word: red or blue team?
Oh, purple.
There's no purple. Red or blue?
I've been airdropped the red DAO token. So I guess red. to honor the rules of the game, I guess I would be team red. Yeah. Yeah. But in the spirit of Interchain Info, I'd say I'm team purple because red plus blue.
I got this.
But yeah,
Great.
red DAO. I'm debating right now, do I burn these or do I support red team? That's the question. What do you send?
Honestly, I haven't claimed my tokens yet. I was playing badminton all day too. So I didn't have time. I just dropped into the Twitter space this morning, talked some shit, and I still have to claim them. So okay. I don't know. Okay. I low-key hope for Team Red because it reminds me of my metrics with red and blue pill. But I don't know.
Here's the problem. I'm on Juno Tools right now. 1.33 million red have been claimed. Only 488,000 blue have been claimed. Like we got to wake the blue team up. That's why I don't know what to do with these red tokens. I have no idea what. I have no idea what the hell is going on here, by the way, but I know it's cool and I support it. So I'm almost like, red's sweeping away with it. Maybe I just burn these tokens, level the playing field. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on either. Admittedly, I have still no idea who's Joe and what's Joe Chain, but I suppose that will come someday. Anyways,
Joe is Timmy. Love.
Timmy, I had a great time talking to you today. It's a real pleasure to have you, to talk to you anytime. And I think what you're building is really cool. I hope people also see the value of having, something like a language model or like an interactive dashboard, customizable. Yeah. So I hope people donate to you and contribute. And links will all be below the video. So wish you the best, guys. Thank you, Timmy.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, man. Hope you do more of these.
I will. Thanks. Bye-bye.
See ya.